Hello everyone, welcome back to Noel Crafts. In today's episode I'm going to show you how to make the make one left and make one right increases. It's so easy, so basic, and you're going to realize that once we are done with our project. So you can see the 3 stitches in the middle that remain constant. Then you can see other stitches flying away, like from the 3 stitches going up. It's because we made a make one right increase, then left increase. So let's get started. So I already have a small project casted on, and these are 11 stitches. We are going to try the make one left and make one right increases. So for our project, I'm going to use the center increases. I'm going to have 4 stitches on this side, then 4 stitches on this side. At the center, I'm being left with 3 stitches. So these 3 stitches are the ones that I'm not going to work on, but I'll be making the increases on both sides of these 3 stitches. So just to remember where we are making the increases, I'm going to insert a safety pin here, but you can use a stitch marker and put on the 3 stitches that I'm not going to work on. So we have the 4 stitches on this side, then 4 stitches on this side, and the center has 3 stitches which we placed a stitch marker on. So this gap here is where we'll be making our make one right. Then we'll be making another one immediately after the 3 stitches right here. These are the two places we are going to make our make one right, make one left increases. So let's get started. I already ended on this side, so I'm going to purl. We are not making increases on the purl side, which is this side. We are not making increases on this side. We'll just be doing the yarn overs on the knit side. So let's purl that, then we go make our first increase. So we are just going to purl this row, and the first stitch I don't work in it so that I can have this straight edge on this side. So we'll just pass that stitch on the needle without knitting in it, then we purl the rest of the stitches. Pulse. Now we can turn our project around, where we are going now to do our increases. So we are on the knit side. We are now going to work on the knit side. So the first stitch, as usual, I don't work in it to maintain the straight edge, so I just pass it to the needle without working in it. Then the next stitch that follows, we knit. Next stitch we knit. Next stitch we knit, and we are now having the 4 stitches on the hook, which means we are now going to work our first increase, because this is where our stitch marker is, which means we are now going to do our increase before we work in the stitch that we placed the stitch marker on. So this is how you do your increase. You simply yarn over like that, and then continue working in the stitch that follows. So knit in that. The stitch that follows next, you knit. The stitch that follows next, you knit, and we'll be done with our stitch marker stitches where we placed the stitch marker. You can see it clearly. So we finished the stitches that have the stitch markers on, the 3 stitches, and immediately after the 3 stitches you make another increase, which is just a yarn over like that. And then you go straight into the stitch that follows and knit in that. We are now going to knit the remaining stitches. So you knit in that, knit in that, then knit in that, then knit in the last stitch. And I'm sorry if this tutorial is shaky. The needle is long and it is bumping on the tripod stand. So we are done with our increases, and as you can see, this is the yarn over that we did before the 3 stitches, and then this is the yarn over that we did after the 3 stitches. So we are going to work on the purl side, and on the purl side you just purl, no increases, no changes, no anything. And remember those yarn overs that we made, those are stitches, so we are also going to purl in those stitches. And as you can see, we have our 4 stitches. Then this is the yarn over that we did. As you can see, it doesn't look normal like other stitches, but it is there. So just insert your hook right in it, then you purl just like you would purl the other stitches. So there we have created a stitch. On the other side you'll see now a stitch and not just a yarn over. Now continue purling on the other stitches. So we are back on the knit side, and remember the 3 stitches that we don't work on still remain at the center, but since we did an increase, we no longer have 4 stitches on this side. We now have 5 stitches plus the one that we just made with the yarn over. Now on this side we have 5 stitches, then our 3 stitches that we are not working the increases on. Then on this side we'll also have 5 stitches because we did an increase, so we have 1 2 3 4 and 5. Now we have 5 stitches, then 5 stitches after the increase. So where are we making our next increase? Remember the 3 stitches, we make an increase before the 3 stitches, then an increase after the 3 stitches. So the first stitch I don't work in it, so I just pass it to the needle. Then we are now going to knit. That will be our second stitch, our third stitch, our fourth stitch, then our fifth stitch, which was an increase. So we are done with the 5 stitches. We need to make another increase right here before the 3 stitches. So how do we make the increase? Just yarn over and you are done. Then knit the stitches, the 3 stitches that follows, then knit in that as well, then knit in that, and you'll be done with the 3 stitches. Then after the 3 stitches you make another increase, so yarn over like that, then go finish the stitches that are left with the knit stitching. Knit, knit, you knit, knit, knit. So you can clearly see what we are doing. An increase comes before the 3 stitches that we are not working in, the center stitches that we placed our stitch marker on, which are these 3. Then the increase is right here, the yarn over that we did. Then after the 3 stitches we have another yarn over right here. Then the rest are knit normal. So on the purl side we just purl, no other tricks, no other weird stuff going on here. So I'm done with that purl row. Let's do one more increase just for clarity. First stitch, I don't knit in that. Second stitch, you knit. Third stitch, you knit. Fourth stitch, you knit. Fifth stitch, which was an increase, you knit. And now we have another increase, the second increase that we did, which is the 6th stitch, you knit. After that we have arrived where our 3 stitches that we are not working on are. You can see where the stitch marker is, so it is 1 2 3. So before we start knitting in the 3 stitches, you make an increase, which is just a yarn over. Then you knit in the 3 stitches that follows. So knit, you knit in that as well. Then the third one, you knit. Once you arrive there, you are done with the 3 stitches. So what you do, you make another increase, yarn over, which is an increase, and then continue knitting in the rest of the stitches that follows. You just knit the normal way from here. So the increases come before the 3 stitches, then after the 3 stitches. And remember, they don't have to be 3 stitches. It can even be 1 stitch that you're not working the increase on. So you place a stitch mark on that 1 stitch, then you work an increase before the 1 stitch, then you work an increase after the 1 stitch. So I used 3 stitches just as an example. So continue like this and you'll see your project changing. I'm going to update you on mine. Remember, these 3 stitches that you are not working on, you make an increase before the 3 stitches, then an increase after the 3 stitches. Then after continuing on and on and on, this is how my project looks, and this is what I was talking about. You can see the stitches that we started with, and you can see up here just how much we have made, and that's because of the increases that we've been doing just before the 3 stitches and before and after the 3 stitches. So that's what we are saying, make one right, make one left increase. You're going to find these increases mostly in those tiny scarves that you see around on social media. You'll also find these increases in skirts and dresses of those people who like making those. You'll also mainly find these increases on the raglans of sweater on the shoulders when they are doing the increases. So this is it, guys. Remember the 3 stitches that you are not working on, then you can see the other stitches flying away, like they are just flying away from the 3 stitches. It's because of the increases that we are doing on this side, then on this side. So this is it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching to this end. I really appreciate your time here, and if you want to support me more, please subscribe to my channel, and until next time, bye bye.